everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Bud's Brunch. I have a very special treat for you today. You guys are getting a glimpse into my very own childhood. I have a very special co-host today, my dad, Greg. Thank you so much for coming all the way down from Newmarket, Dad.
Thanks for having me.
Well, no problem. Not only is my dad here, but we are making one of his specialties. And, well, the crust is actually your specialty, so why don't you tell everyone about it?
Yeah, so first off, before we get started, I think everybody's back on the Leaf bandwagon again after last night's win over Pittsburgh. So just to kind of prime the pump for today's show, I thought I'd wear the 1967 vintage
Looks great.
Sweater. And it is a trophy sweater because it's a Johnny Bauer autograph sweater signed by China Wall himself.
Look at that.
Okay, so anyway, I don't want to get anything on this sweater.
It's a trophy.
I'm going to have to take this off.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. I'll open your beer for you there, Dad, while you do that.
Thank you.
We're doing Cameron's Brewing again today for one of them. This is the Amber Red Ale from Cameron's. It's one of my favorite. As we mentioned on our last show, this beer is from Oakville, Ontario, just like John Tavares. And mine is one I've never tried before. It's called the Naughty Otter Lager. So I don't exactly know where this is from. Oh, it's come from Gananoque, Ontario. So we're trying this one.
This is like emulating the fishing trip when I'm drinking beer while I'm making butter.
That's the point, Dad.
Perfect.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so I've already put 5 cups of flour into there for you, and then you can explain the rest of it, because, I mean, this is your baby.
Okay, so the story behind the pie crust is years ago when I was living in Fawn Hill. A friend of mine invited me over for a beer. We were watching a hockey game, and he gave me some of these cherry tarts, and I said, gee, this is the best crust I've ever had in my life. Who made these these tarts? He says, well, my mother made them. I said, well, I got to have this recipe. As I mentioned in the fishing trips, I'm the pie guy on the fishing trips. So we start off with, obviously, the shortening here. Bear with me. This is the first time I've used this gizmo of Jessica's.
Yeah,
so
Dad's a little bit old school. He's used to using
so
his hands, but I'm implementing the KitchenAid mixer for us today.
Okay, so just turn it on, right?
Yeah, just the first
Yep. So
level
turn
there.
this on slow, like this. Feed it in.
Yep. Beautiful.
Wow, this is too easy. But the secret to what makes this crust so flaky,
Our
large
secret ingredient.
tablespoon of margarine, and just adding that tablespoon of margarine, which we will in a minute.
That's our secret family ingredient.
And that's the extra ingredient. As a matter of fact, my aunt, Annette, who makes these fabulous butter tarts, uses this recipe. So if it impressed my aunt, it must be good.
I would say the butter tarts are the best.
Yep, she makes the best butter tarts.
All right, Dad. Well, I think we should start getting into a little bit of Leafs talk here because I think I really want to talk about Jake Muzzin because he's brand new. We've seen him for 2 games here so far. What have you seen that you liked, and what did you see that you didn't like?
Well, I think like many people are mentioning, he's bringing a physical edge to the team. He's a really, really good stay-at-home defenseman, and it's something that we badly needed. That can knock people off the puck, separate people off the puck, and get the puck out. He also adds another dimension. He's pretty good passing plays, exiting the zone, and he has a pretty good shot. As you know, right now that's one of the issues. We don't really have anybody on the back end that'll scare anybody.
Exactly.
With their shot. So adding another dimension that they could eventually add to the power play, I think, although we haven't seen it yet.
Last night, like you say, bringing a sort of a physical aspect. I mean, the crowd went crazy when he laid. I can't remember who he laid out, but he laid out one of the Penguins.
Yeah, he knocked down a Penguin, and everybody went nuts. And I mean, it's just something you haven't seen anybody on the Leafs do because we just don't have anybody that's got that physical presence. Now, hopefully, that'll embolden some of the other players that aren't accustomed to doing that.
And are you thinking like something more out of Ozhiganov or Dermott or?
Well, yeah. I mean, even Jake Gardner's not a small guy, and neither is Zaitsev. And Zaitsev, I've seen him use the body a little bit, but not near as much as he could for a player of that size. So I think we could probably add the wet ingredients now, right?
Yeah. So the egg, and then
Put in the egg. And the water and the salt, we'll mix that in there. So now I think what's going to happen is you're going to see Riley's going to get turned loose now more than he was before.
Okay.
I mean, he was jumping in before quite a bit. He's having a great season. Now this will embolden him even more because he's got somebody, on the back end that if it goes sideways on him and he gets caught when he pinches, then you got somebody that can break up a 2-on-1.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, stay in the middle and give the shooter to the goaltender.
Well, I'm hoping this helps his hunt for the Norris Trophy.
Yeah.
Personally, I'd love to see him win that, and having a guy like Muzzin on the back end there with him is definitely going to help.
Yeah.
I mean, Muzzin played with Drew Doughty, so I mean that guy knows how to play with a skilled defenseman, and he doesn't have to change.
Right.
Now, speaking of change, there's a lot of people who are pretty upset that Riley is now on the right side. So, how do you feel about that?
Well, there's a pretty good Hall of Fame defenseman that once played for the Maple Leafs. You might have heard of him, Corey Solving.
Yeah, I think I know that guy.
And Solving, he was a 6-time All-Star and he's a Hall of Famer. And it didn't seem to bother him. You know, he had a stellar career with the Leafs, and you know, he's an Toronto Maple Leaf icon. And Riley is skilled enough to be able to do this. You know, you just have to be a little bit more careful. He's got to work with his feet on the wall. He's got to go to the wall when the puck's coming around, and being able to squeeze the board so the puck doesn't get by him. But when you watch Riley, even on the power play, you'll see how he holds the line. He goes down like a shortstop.
Yeah,
he's already pretty
that.
good at getting himself in front of the puck. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
I always hoped that Jake Gardner would pick that up.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they would pay attention, but he has his own, everybody has their own method of doing that. You know, he adds other dimensions that we keep hearing about, correct? So,
yeah, exactly.
So we'll see what happens. You know, I play defense too. I still play hockey, pick up hockey with my friends, and I'm a left shooter, and I play the right side, and I do it all the time because there's hardly any right shooters with our group, and I've been playing it for so long that I can't even play the left side anymore. And I think that, you know, over time they'll become more comfortable with each other, and eventually I think you are going to see Muzzin on the power play.
Yeah, I think so.
Just because it just adds another dimension with the shot coming from the point.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll see how it goes, but you know, 2 games, it's a little early. Travis Dermott, that's another benefit of this. Now Dermott's going to get a chance to play with the old master, Hainsey, and you saw how beneficial Hainsey was to Riley. Is, you know,
and even Zaitsev.
Well, I can even remember one game last year where Hainsey was on the ice with Dermott, and Hainsey literally went over and took Dermott and moved him.
I remember this game.
It was kind of funny. It just gives you an idea of just where do you even stand out there.
Yeah.
So Hainsey is not shy. You can hear him hollering if you listen closely. He talks a lot on the ice and communicates really well. So. And I'm a big Dermott fan. I mean, he's not a real big guy, but he's great with his edges.
Yeah, you said that he's a really good skater.
He's got a high hockey IQ. He can get out of the way when somebody's coming in. As you know, the other teams like to pound the Leafs and force them to turn the puck over. It's kind of one of the blueprints for stopping the Leafs. We've seen some of the teams do it better than others.
They figured it out pretty quick, I find.
So, you know, the Leafs are going to have to find ways to counter, but I find Dermott doesn't panic and he gets out of the way and he makes the play. So based on that observation, I think don't be surprised if you see over time Dermott and Hainsey moving into 3-4 instead of 5-6. And we'll watch carefully to see if the ice time increases as Dermott becomes more comfortable and more experienced.
For sure.
Again, he has a lot of upside. With Gardner and Zaitsev, basically you're looking at what you got.
Yeah, what you see is what you get.
They've got a lot of years in the NHL. I don't think they're going to change much, but Dermott's got a lot of upside.
Yeah. I do want to talk a little bit about the power play because they were, 0 for 5 against the Red Wings on the power play the other night? And they've sort of said that the Leafs don't need an enforcer, let's say, because their power play is the enforcer. But when you can't score on what is supposed to be the most lethal power play in the NHL, you got to find another way to put the puck in the net.
Yeah, it's you got to give them. They got to have what they say a different look, right? I mean, everyone's figured out they're gonna cut off the seam pass over to Matthews.
Exactly.
And you can stand there all day, but if they're gonna block it, you know, and everybody also knows that Marner is the quarterback of the power play.
Oh yeah,
so
for sure.
So they see on Marner what's he going to do, and he can only do so much. So players have got to move around a little bit, and that's why I think if you had another shooter on the other side, somebody, you know, okay, there's no room there, then we're going to send it over to Muzzin, and he's going to unload a bomb at the net. Yeah. And then hopefully JT gets out of the way so he doesn't, you know, get hit. With the Lupul a few years ago with a broken arm when
I remember that.
Phaneuf hit him.
And that was pretty much the end of Lupul.
We don't want that to happen to one of our star players. But you know, then you can get a rebound, you get a screenshot, and as opposed to trying to make the cute little pass. They're a 5-game losing streak away from not being in the playoffs. I mean, now
think about that, like as a fan.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they went into a funk. Right, they weren't able to even play in their own rink very well. The other teams are coming in and
Yeah.
taking points. You got to make it kind of a bit of a house of horrors
Yeah.
for them to come in.
Which it was at the beginning of the season because they didn't know how to play against the Leafs,
Yeah.
other teams. So it was like that. It was, here's 5 goals against
Right.
in a game.
You got to keep remembering, a lot of kids from GTA coming in. They got friends and family there. A lot of them play over their heads. They like to play there. I mean, let's
Yeah,
face it,
good
Sidney Crosby loves to play there.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid, he was a Habs fan of all things.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can see why he's pretty pumped and motivated. Hockey Night in Canada, remember they grew up with Hockey Night in Canada. They're
Yep.
very motivated. Oh, hey, I'm going to be on Hockey Night in Canada tonight.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate that. So it's a bit of a negative impact on the Leafs. They got to play a little harder because, you know, it's another headwind that they're facing when other teams come into their rink.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. So from hometown boys coming and playing in Ontario, I'm usually playing extremely well against the Leafs, to a player who is not from our hometown and not from this country. But I'm really worried, getting so worried about William Nylander. Is this like another thing of we don't really care how he performs until the playoffs come, or is this a real concern? He's been back since December and he's only scored 1 goal. He's had some decent assist nights, you know, he has put a few points in, contributed a few points, but they need him to be William Nylander. That's why they gave him that money.
Yeah, and William Nylander had his best game since was the Washington game.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
I think he got 3 assists.
3 assists that night. Yeah.
But William Nylander was doing what he does best. He was stronger on the puck that night. You know, people were trying to bump him off the puck and it wasn't happening. He was making plays.
And he needed that. For
Yeah,
sure.
he comes in really hard and he'll jam his skates on, right? He'll jam the brakes on. He'll do a spin, and then get everybody set up. And you know that's what good players do. And wait for everybody to set up and look for a passing option. But you probably remember, like Willie Nylander can really shoot the puck. He's got a fantastic
an amazing
wrist
shot.
just a bullet. And we haven't seen that yet. He only has 1 goal since he's been back. So it's taken a long time for him to work his way in.
And what is it? Like, is it the system? Is there something in his head? Like,
you know, sometimes I think when they sign these big contracts, they might be, you know, squeezing their stick a little bit. The expectations, like
The
weight of
pressure.
world, maybe trying to do too much.
and I'm
Keep the
sure
game
there's been some
simple.
like poked comments
Oh, yeah.
made by his teammates
Sure.
of, you know,
Oh yeah.
when
yeah.
he signed that big deal.
Yeah, and you hear stories about guys it doesn't go well, and then
Yeah.
it takes a whole year for them to get comfortable.
Yeah.
But I really think eventually you're going to see him back with Matthews again when he gets his legs going.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the All-Star break came at the worst possible time for him.
I think
He
so
was
too.
just getting
He's just
back
heating up.
back in the saddle again and looking comfortable, and then 10 days off, and you know.
And then he was
we'll
left
see.
completely off the score sheet the other
Yeah.
night against
Right.
Detroit. Completely, like not even a hit, like nothing.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, I think they played him. They did try him on the power play, on the
Yeah,
first power play
yeah.
once, just to give them a little bit more.
And didn't they have him on the top line that game?
They might have had him. Yeah,
I think they put him on the
Babcock
top.
seems to move him in and out.
Yeah.
He's moving guys around, just like he'll put Marner. You see him once in a while. He'll put Marner out with JT and Matthews.
Mhm.
You've seen him do that.
Yeah,
Just to
for
kind
sure.
of give him a little bit of punch if the team, just get the team going.
Yeah.
If nothing else is working.
Because he can skate. Like that kid can
Yeah.
really move. And
Yeah, I mean, and he also strips pucks too. He's a puck thief, as you see. You know, Marner's
Yeah.
a great little puck thief. He'll go
yeah,
and strip
Oh,
pucks.
so good at it.
And you might not remember, it's a long time ago now, was the last time you've seen him do it. But Nylander's good at that too.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll see. So he needs to step up to where he was last year at least, and start
For
playing.
sure, at the very least.
earning that $7 million a year contract. But
But if he performs in the playoffs, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like if you are the William Nylander of old, when playoffs begin, we're good. Like
Yeah,
I have no problem.
we'll wait for another episode to talk about the playoffs, right?
Yeah, for
Let's
sure.
get in the playoffs
I know,
first, because
I know.
it's stacked tight.
All right, you ready to
Okay.
roll that out
Yeah,
there, or
ready
what?
to roll. So, what do I do here? Lift this up?
Yeah, so there's a lock on this side. It's
Yeah.
unlocked, and that'll just lift up. This comes
Okay.
right off.
Just lifts up?
Yep, just lift it right
Okay.
up.
So now I gotta get my hands dirty here. No
Yep.
problem.
Yeah, I
Okay,
put a little
ooh.
bowl of flour there for you.
Boy, that's a lot easier than the other way.
Isn't it? Doesn't
Sure.
it make such
Yeah.
good dough?
I'm spoiled, now I gotta get one of these. One of these up at the cottage.
Right? I was gonna ask when the ice fishing.
Ice fishing. Oh yeah, the fishing trip's coming up. So
Yeah.
if any of them are watching this, I'm sure I'll be reminded. Okay, now you promised us a pie.
Yeah. Don't
So
forget.
better make the pie, right?
Yeah. And there's an NHLer on that lake as well that we're up
Yeah,
at.
we have the lake I'm on up in Halliburton County. There, we have Matt Duchesne. He's got a nice little spot up there.
Yeah, just had a new baby, so
Yeah.
we're adding the population
Yeah.
to our lake there.
Yeah, he's a really good kid. He's over by my buddy Bagger's place down the other end of the lake, Keith Bagg, who I play hockey with, the old dogs on Mondays and Thursdays.
This is gonna be enough apples, or should I put one more? What do you think?
So now you're gonna put pressure on me.
Do you think I should cut up one
the
more?
old dogs are gonna want a pie.
One more?
I think that's, well, we'll see.
That's
It
enough?
might be enough. We'll see what happens. Right.
So we've greased up our pan here with the lard. So another thing that I can't really believe that people are skeptical about it, but I've been hearing some naysayers about Anderson lately somehow. How we are in trouble with goaltending. I disagree. I don't
Well-
think we are. I mean, Sparks has on days and off days, let's say. But I'm not really worried about Freddie.
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about Freddie is just remember he was injured, right?
Yes.
So keeping the shots down
Yeah.
is going to be very, very critical. Yeah,
that
it's
gonna be
important
big
that we keep the shots down. So hopefully back to Muzzin again. Here's a guy that blocks shots. We never talked about that. The Leafs aren't a really good shot blocking team. This guy blocks shots, right? So keeping the shots on goal down is going to help Anderson. But let's face it, he's
He
got a
stops
workload.
40 shots a night.
40 shots a night, and it's going down, doing the butterfly, covering the bottom of the net, up and down, moving around, is hard on the body.
Mm-hmm.
You see, the Canadians, the Habs, the same thing with Price. He gets, they lean on him a little bit too much, and then maybe the Leafs were doing that with Anderson's too. So you might see Sparks play a little bit more, right?
Yeah,
To give Anderson, keep him fresh. Yeah, and I think Sparks is looking a little bit more comfortable, and I'm like everybody else. I was skeptical because he looked really uncomfortable in the net
Yeah.
when he first was early in the season. Give him the benefit of the doubt, see what happens. Yes, I think we're going to use this for the bottom, Jess.
Yeah, that one's going to be a bit bigger.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
want to roll it out because you get a little bit more room there.
Yeah, looks good.
Mm-hmm. That's happened.
There you go.
Hang it over there like that. Oops.
That's the good thing, though. It is easy to pack it up.
Right.
It's good to get a nice thick layer of the crust, too,
Yeah,
'cause it's the
and
best
well, it's
part.
a deep dish apple pie, so you got to have lots of
It has to hold up.
heavy crust in the bottom.
So I just added a little bit of cinnamon and some brown sugar to this, but I'm also going to put like a little handful of flour in here as well to soak up some of the moisture, right, Dad?
That's a good idea, yeah, because a lot of the juice comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Right. Ready for the lid?
Part of making pie is getting messy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's coming off nice. Alright, so it's been 40 minutes at 425 degrees. Our pie is ready. Ready to take it out?
Perfect. Get
Okay,
it out of there.
let's go. Wow. Okay, well, I've got a knife here for you, and a spatula, and some plates. So,
And no, don't worry, we didn't run down to the bakery to do any substitutions. This is actually a thing.
this is the real deal. It's the real deal. I know it looks amazing, but we did it. And I also went down the street to my favorite ice cream shop, Ed's Real Scoop. You cannot go wrong with Ed's in general, but this is my absolute favorite type of ice cream. It's called burnt marshmallow. To die for. There we go. Oh my god, I love that ice cream. Perfect.
Oh,
That's good.
crust is great.
Yeah? Amazing. All right,
What a surprise.
I'm ready to eat. Fork, ready to go. Grab your pie.
Excellent.
I'll grab mine. And let's do this.
Great.
Let's go eat. All right. The famous Greg Osterhan
Yeah, the pie.
pie. All right, well, here we go. Let's try it. Cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Osterhan family pie crust.
Let's see how it turned out. Mmm.
I don't even have to chew it. Oh my gosh, that's so
Don't
good.
need a knife.
So amazing.
Oh, good.
So I hope everyone was paying attention. Just as I hope the Leafs will pay attention on Monday night against the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah.
Like you said, they're a bit wounded after that game against Winnipeg last night. But what do the Leafs have to do against them?
It's a bit of a trap game, I think, and they're going to come in desperate. And based on some of the history recently, and the Leafs have faced desperate teams, it hasn't gone too well. Right? So they have to understand that it's going to be a desperate hockey team. They're a big team. They're a heavy team. Corey Perry's back.
Oh, okay.
Corey Perry just came back, I think, the last game. So, you know, they do have some weapons. They're still a dangerous team. This is a team that doesn't like speed.
They like to control the pace of the game.
But they're going to be heavy down low, and you know you keep hearing Babcock talking about sandpaper being heavy. They'll get ready because they're going to come after you. And you know, if you can get out of your own end and get moving, you should be okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, game plan against the Ducks, then play a heavy game. Well, hopefully they win, and we'd just like to thank you again for joining us for Bud's Brunch, episode 4. Thank you for joining me, Dad.
Thanks, appreciate
It's been
it.
a long time coming.
Thanks for asking me.
Yeah, well, we hope you all enjoyed it, and we hope you're all at home making apple pie with the perfect crust. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.